You guys were worried, weren't you? Running 2 minutes late, and you guys were worried I probably wouldn't be here. Good morning, JJ number one. Attaboy, JJ. Jamie, good morning. Hi, Melissa, Linda, Kimberly, Nikki, Amy, and Cammie, and Angela, Sarah, Linda, Yolanda, Casey, Sherilyn, Cheryl, Lori. There's Kimberly. Hey, Sally, good morning. Welcome to the Q Bible study this morning. Hi, Sammy and Melissa. Good to see you guys. There's Casey on TikTok. Good morning. And Mr. Electro on TikTok. Good morning to you too. We are studying the book of Revelation. I'm going to say it wrong forever. Hi, Amanda. Good morning. Yeah, Haley's asking the question, why, whenever it says him in her Bible translation, is it not capitalized? I really don't know the answer to that. Why some people wouldn't do it. We know it's talking about Jesus or God. So I'm not sure about that either. So good morning, Brenda and Donna. Michelle, good morning. Amanda. Gail. So I'll tell you why I was a little bit late this morning. Hey, Tondo. Good morning, Becky. A whole crew, a gaggle coming in on TikTok this morning. Gagley, good to see you this morning. So the woodpecker that's so loud every morning, right? And actually waking the whole house up, pecking on the side of the house every morning. Well, being the redneck that I am, I took care of the woodpecker to make sure he was not going to ever peck on our house again. And we were all excited. Well, just 2 minutes before I came on, I hear pecking on the side of the house again. Marty texts me and says, I'm downstairs and she's upstairs. She texts me and goes, he's back. And I know that woodpecker is not back. That was pecking yesterday for a fact. And so apparently we have two woodpeckers around our house. And I was amazed that there's another woodpecker pecking on our house this morning. They got a jillion trees around here. Good night. We have these little vent holes inside of our house. And I think they think they're going to peck around the wood to get in these vent holes to live in our roof. Not going to happen. So that's why I was running a little bit late this morning, just so you know. Hi, Don. Good morning, Mara. Jennifer. Good morning. Kate. Sarah. David. Good morning. Jamie. Hey, if you're on Steve Levitt personal page, if you got a reminder to watch the video and you're over on the Steve Levitt personal page, I want you to stop what you're doing, click out, get out of that, and go over to the Q Bible study page. It's the Q Bible study page on Facebook. It's a different page completely on Facebook. You need to go over there so we can all see everybody's comments. Don't be on my personal page. I put it there to let people know that we're here or that we've started, but I want you to log into the Q Bible study page. It helps everybody out a lot. Hi, Miss Queen Bee. Good morning. So we're all here. We're all here. Revelation chapter 2. We're going to start in verse 12. A couple of quick notes too about the retreat. All right. 2 or 3 things real quick about the retreat. First of all, it looks like we're going to add a second retreat. For those of you who still might want to come to a retreat in Colorado Springs with me teaching about marriage, Friday night, all day Saturday, and Sunday morning. We're going to do another one now. It looks like the end of July 31st, July 30th, 31st, and August 1st. So it looks like we're going to have a sign up for a second one. It's on our website, rockyourfamily.org, for a end of July marriage retreat. Same, everything's the same. Glen Airy Castle. It's going to be amazing. So we're doing a second one now in the end of July. rockyourfamily.org. We've also got it on the page now where you can go, and if you want to attend our marriage retreat that I'm going to be teaching through the 10 fundamentals of marriage on June 25th, 26th, and 27th, you can go to the website and do it virtually. You don't have to come to Colorado Springs. I think it's $350 to join in virtually on the retreat. You can just watch. We're going to zoom it in and be able to interact, and you'll be able to watch all the teaching. For it's $350. So June 26th, 25th, 26th, and 27th. If you want to join the retreat virtually, you can now do that on the website. You'll have to sign up on the website, rockyourfamily.org. Pretty cool deal, right? Side note, if you're going to go after the retreat, some of you are coming. If you're going to go to, just to let you know, some of us are going on to Breckenridge Sunday night. We're going to stay Sunday night in Breckenridge, Monday night in Breckenridge, come home Tuesday, or you can go home Tuesday or whatever, just to let you know that's going to be happening. So there's 3 or 4 families that are going to go on and hang out in Breckenridge. We're not all going to be all, you can do your own thing or whatever. But I'm going to be fly fishing. My wife will be hiking, and hanging around Breckenridge. So just so you know, it's going to be a lot of fun. Do I just need to move to Colorado for the summer so I can attend all these retreats? Yes, Sarah, you do. Somebody asked a question about that. Will I be able to view the virtual one at our own time, or is it only a live feed? Only a live feed. It won't be available afterwards or anything like that. So you'll have to watch it as a live feed. I'm assuming if we fill up in July that we'll do the same thing then too, but we're not offering that yet. By the way, New Braunfels people, lots of New Braunfels people on here. New Braunfels, still looking for a place for Malia to live this summer. If you know of somebody who has a little apartment or something like that while she works at T-Bar-M this summer, let me know, please. We're looking for a place for her to live in New Braunfels this summer while she works at T-Bar-M. So if anybody knows of anything, let me know. New Braunfels, Texas. Revelation chapter 2, verse 12. Any other questions? And we'll get going. I was on the struggle bus. Gotcha. Absolutely. I sent an alarm because I was missing them. Glad you're here. TikTok. Yeah, if you really want to fellowship with all of us and be on the conversation, it's on Facebook, the Q Bible Study on Facebook, or YouTube, the Q Bible Study on YouTube as well. All right, y'all ready to get going? Look at the word. We're going to cover a lot today. Stephanie says she's been waiting since 6:30 and she still managed to be late. Stephanie, you got this, Stephanie. My girls go to the last term. That's so funny. Will they get? Yeah, she'll be at the camp store, Kate. Well, we think. We don't know for sure. It looks like she's going to be working there. They haven't officially offered her a job yet. Looks like it's going to happen though, hopefully. And she'll be working at the camp store, so they'll see her. Yeah. Cute little Asian girl. Yeah, she'll need to probably be in New Braunfels somewhere because she's still learning to drive some. Not comfortable with her driving a long way. So Revelation chapter 2, verse 12, we've looked at what Jesus told John in the vision about the 7 churches. He said, here's what we need to know about Ephesus. Let me tell you about Ephesus, John. And you can go and tell Ephesus, the church in Ephesus, this. And then he says, the church in Smyrna, go tell the church in Smyrna this. And now he's gotten to the church in Pergamum. I don't even know where that is or what that is. But Jesus said, hey, to the church in Pergamum, John, tell them this. And this is what he's fixing to do. We're going to look at all of them, the rest all the way through today if we can get there, if I can quit talking and get going. I guess that's Marty. Marty, you didn't sign the permission, so I can't see who you are. But that must be you. She says, I can't hear you. The woodpecker, she's upstairs, and the woodpecker's pecking upstairs right outside the window. And she said she can't even hardly hear me. How funny is that? Yeah, they know. Marty, if you want me to see who you are, you've got to get out of the Bible study, click on the permissions link right up there and give it permission for me to see your name. Yes, there's another one. A second one came back, Stephanie. And so we'll see how many come back day after day. They only come one day to our house. All right. Good morning, Stacy. Here we go. To the church in Pergamum, Revelation chapter 2, verse 12. Write this letter to the angel of the church of Pergamum. I'm reading, by the way, today, again, back out of the New Living Translation. It's just easier to read because I got to read a lot. Write this letter to the angel of the church in Pergamum, which is the leader of the church, is what we assume that to me. This is the message from the one who has a sharp two-edged sword. This is John, tell them that the guy with the two-edged sword as a tongue, meaning Jesus Christ, writes this letter. Verse 13, I know that you live in the city where the great throne of Satan is located, and yet you have remained loyal to me. So apparently this city was, I don't know if it's an actual great throne of Satan or it's just a hotbed of satanic activity. What's going on there? But he says, you live in the midst of hell. You live in hell, and yet you have remained loyal to me. I hope that's how I'm remembered, right? That I'm willing to get out in the midst and the dark and the hard things, but remain loyal. You may be in that situation where you live in a lot of temptation. You live with lots of sin around you. You live in the midst of a family or a friends or a neighborhood or a city, whatever it is, and with lots of temptation, but you remain loyal. He's commending them. Jesus Christ is telling them, good job for remaining loyal. And if you do that, if you're tempted with sin, if you're struggling with the lots of temptation around you, but you remain faithful, Jesus is saying, good job. Good job. So he's giving them an encouragement here. You remain loyal. And you refuse to deny me, even when Antipas, my faithful witness, was martyred among you by Satan's followers. And yet I have new complaints against you. He says, I do have some things I need you to work on. Church in Pergamum, I got a few things I need you to work on. You're remaining loyal. I'm proud of you. Even in the midst of somebody being persecuted and killed, you're remaining loyal. Good job. But there's a few things you need to work on here. Verse 14. And yet I have a few complaints against you. You tolerate some among you who are like Balaam, who showed Balak how to trip up the people of Israel. He taught them to worship idols by eating food offered to idols and by committing sexual sin. In the same way, you have some Nicolaitans among you, people who follow the same teaching and committed to the same sins. So there's some people who are not being godly, and some of you are following them. Some of you are embracing sin. Some of you are opening the door up to embrace a non-biblical worldview. You know what that means, right? In today's time, you and I, whenever you start embracing what the world offers, when you start being comfortable with certain ways of our world, he says that's following the ways of the world. Sexual sin is one of them. 50 years ago, there is so much more sexuality and sexual sin out there today for you and I than there was 50 years ago, right? There was an innocence and a purity 50 years ago. Yet now, what people wear, what women wear, what men say, the TV shows, social media, There's so much more sexual sin. And because we're just used to it. We've just gotten used to it. We're just comfortable with it. That's following the world, right? He says, don't do that. Sin is still sin. Hold to purity. Hold to purity. Verse 17, anyone who is willing to hear should listen to the Spirit and understand what the Spirit is saying to the churches. Everyone who is victorious will eat the manna that has been hidden away in heaven. And I think this also means when you are pure here on earth, whenever you fight for purity now, you don't go the way of the world, you will reap the reward, not just in heaven, but here on earth. But there are crowns waiting for you in heaven, manna in heaven. And I will give to each one of you a white stone, on the stone which will be engraved a new name that no one knows except the one who receives it. I don't know what that means exactly. I think it has to do with the white stone. Was it their judgment stone? Like they would roll the dice of a white stone, or if you picked the white stone out of the black bag full of black stones, you received an honor or a gift. I think that's what that means. I don't know for sure, but basically you'll be rewarded. Stay pure. Hold to purity. Don't give in to the world, church of Pergamium. Hold to purity. Yes, they're a work in progress, Sarah. That's exactly right. And he says, you're doing a good job. You've remained loyal. You're being tempted. And some of you are falling to temptation to be pulled away. Don't do it. Hold the truth and receive the reward of purity. That's for you and I. All right, let's move on to Thyatira. Is that what my other? Yeah, Thyatira. 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 We're going to call it Thyatira. To the church in Thyatira. Here we go. Write this letter to the angel of the church of Thyatira. This is the message from the Son of God, whose eyes are bright as flames of fire and whose feet are like polished bronze. I love that to every church, he gave a unique characteristic of himself to that church. It's not all the same. You know, he had the two-edged sword to the last church. To the first church, he had the first and the last, the one who is dead and now alive. To this church, he says, whose eyes are bright as flames and whose feet are like polished bronze. I don't know why he's just describing different parts of himself to all these churches. I think it's awesome. So in Revelation chapter 2, verse 19, here's what he says to the church in Thyatira. All right. I know all things that you do, your love, and he's complimenting them. This is like you and I. He's encouraging them. Hopefully he encourages us this way. I know the things that you do. You love. You're a lover. Your faith. You're faithful. Your service. You're a servant. And your patience and endurance. Oh, I hope Jesus can say that about me. Love, patience, service, faith. Right? Love, patience, service, and faith. He recognized this about them. I think that's beautiful. Anyway, I hope he can say that about me someday. Maybe that's a checklist for you too. Do I love? Am I faithful? Do I serve him? And do I have patience with endurance, right? And I can see your consistent improvement in all of these things. You're getting better, a work in progress. We call it progressive sanctification, becoming more like Christ every day. You're in the process of progressive sanctification, becoming more like Christ. Verse 20, but I have this complaint against you, but here's something you need to work on, right? You are permitting that women that, hold on. He says, you are permitting that woman. This is a particular woman who's committing heresy. He calls her Jezebel. Her name may be Jezebel, or it may just be that term they use for a woman who is not doing what God, they would call him a Jezebel. You've heard it even today, you Jezebel. He says, you are permitting that woman, that Jezebel, who calls herself a prophet, to lead my servants astray. So this woman was not a good woman. This woman was leading the servants astray, right? She is encouraging them to worship idols, to eat food offered to idols, and to commit sexual sin. Jezebel. She's a Jezebel. Don't be a Jezebel. Don't entice men to commit sexual sin. Don't entice men to lust. I know it makes women mad when I talk about this. Anytime Christians talk about this, it's a man's responsibility not to lust. I get that. But women, you can help a ton by what you wear, what you don't wear, what you do wear, how you act, things like that. And she's causing them to commit sexual sin, to eat food offered to idols. She's a Jezebel. Verse 21, I gave her time to repent, but she would not turn away from her immorality. Therefore, I will throw her upon a sick bed, and she will suffer greatly with all who commit adultery with her, unless they turn away from their evil deeds. There's still time to repent, right? And there's going to be a consequence. I bet we don't know what this means. I'll bet this is a consequence of a sexually transmitted disease or something like that. There'll be a sick bed associated with all this adultery that's going on. They're going to pay a physical price for their adultery. I will strike her children dead, and all the churches will know that I am the one who searches out the thoughts and intentions of every person, and I will give to each of you whatever you deserve. But I also have a message for the rest of you in Thyatira who have not followed this false teaching. So for those who didn't follow her, for those who are hanging in there doing the right thing, deeper truths, as they call them, depths of Satan, really is what mine says. I will ask nothing more of you except that you hold tightly to what you have until I come. Hold tightly to what you have until I come. Hold tightly to what you have until I come. What a message for you and I, right? You're in there, you're in the battle, you're trying to hold tightly, you're doing the best you can. And he's saying there will be a reward. Hold tightly until I come. That's what we're doing. That's what you and I are doing every day, trying to hold tightly, not give in to the world, not give in to adultery, not give in to sin, not give in to false prophets, not give in to false belief systems, not give yourself over to the world's worldview of things. And boy, are we ever bombarded more today than ever before with the world's views. You got to believe this way. You got to think this way. You're judgmental if you think this. We are just being pelted side by side. Hold tightly until he comes. That's the encouragement for you and I, to hold tightly until he comes. Hang in there. You can do it, Christian. You can do it, sister. You can do it, brother. Hold tightly. Don't give in to the world. Hold true to what you know is true. Don't compromise. Don't flex with what your conservative evangelical belief system, biblical belief system is. Hold tightly to the truth. Don't give in to the world and what the world wants you to believe and give into. Hold tightly. Verse 26. To all who are victorious, who obey me to the very end, I will give authority over all the nations. They will rule the nations with an iron rod and smash them like clay pots. They will have the same authority I received from the Father, and I will also give them the morning star. Anyone who is willing to hear should listen to the Spirit and understand what the Spirit is saying to the churches. I don't know what all that means. Rods and clay pots and stars and everything else. I have a feeling it may have to do whenever Christ has dominion over the earth. He'll come and destroy Satan and all, and there'll be a battle, and maybe we're part of the battle, and we get to share in the fight with Jesus to destroy all evil in the world. Maybe it's just rewards, maybe crowns. You'll receive crowns in heaven. I don't know, but I know what it means. It means hold tightly. Hold tightly till he returns. Hang in there and don't give in. Fight the fight. You struggle with alcohol, then fight the fight, right? Say no. Fight it. You struggle with lust, say no to that temptation. You struggle with greed. You struggle with pride. You struggle with wanting to please the world. Hold tightly. Don't do it. Stick to your guns. Stay true to the word of God, right? And that's all we're going to get today. I thought I could get through chapter 3, but I'm not going to. So tomorrow will be chapter 3, and two of my favorite verses tomorrow in chapter 3. Two of my favorite memory verses we're going to look at tomorrow morning. So I hope this is an encouragement to you. I'm Steve Levitt, by the way. I'm a marriage and family biblical counselor in Colorado Springs. I have a degree from Dallas Theological Seminary. I love my Bible, and I teach from a kind of a counseling point of view about everything. We do this every morning, 6:30 Mountain Standard Time, 7:30 Central Time. If you want to really fellowship with the whole group of people, come over. There's 65, 70 folks every morning on Facebook. It's called the Q Bible Study on Facebook. Come over there and you can check it out. The Q Bible Study on Facebook. TikTok, I'll be with you guys in just a second. No, a crown is not a halo. That's different. Ask me in just a second. Seeking on TikTok. I love to explain, not a halo. A crown is when a Christian, someone who believes in Jesus Christ for their salvation, and they go to heaven, they will be given crowns, these kingly or queenly crowns that God will give you, and then you get to lay those at Christ's feet. Those are what we call the rewards in heaven. You're given these crowns that you get to worship Jesus with in heaven. And it's rewards. That's not a halo. It's different. A halo is actually just, we don't see a halo biblically, not for humans, right? Jesus is always betrayed with that halo over his head and everything else because he's the king, but it's different. All right. Questions or comments right quick? The compliment sandwich. So true, Kate. I love the compliment sandwich. Jesus does it to all of these churches. Every one of them gets the compliment sandwich, if that's what you're referring to. Jezebel was a mean pagan queen of Israel. Yes, she was. And that was the old Jezebel was way back when. And there was this, still today, use the term of Jezebel of a woman who is not walking with God. You're welcome, Katsy. Go back, watch what I missed. Everyone have a blessed day. Thanks, Tony. You too. Viewer USA. What is that? Remember these? I have no idea. YouTube, I guess. Somebody from YouTube says, remember these precepts and juxtapositions between the fornicators versus male virgins when you reach chapter 14, 15. Oh, somebody's just helping me out, helping me teach there. I'm not sure what that's all about. You only missed a few minutes of the study. Good. Thank you, Steve. I pray you all have a blessed day. You too, Katie. Praise Jesus, Viewer USA. Yes. Thank you, Steve. Take away. Well, yeah. What is your takeaway? Keep looking to God. Don't let the world lead you astray. Yes. You're welcome, JJ. Don't let the world lead you astray. Hold true. Hold your course. Stay the course. Stay pure. Stay holy until Christ returns. Absolutely my takeaway too. All right, Facebook, TikTok. What do you got for me? Any other questions? Still letting people know where you can find me. I accidentally clicked out, so I can't go up to her and tag the lady that had a question. Are you still here? Somebody had a question. Great message, my friend. Absolutely correct. God bless you. He answered TikTok at the end because it's hard for him to see. Someone has a question for you, Steve. Sorry for your loss. The question is, try rewording. My last comment didn't show up. We're here for you. Can you repeat the verses? I'm not sure. I guess not allowed to comment anymore. I'm so sorry. I know that's I'm going backwards in comments here. Please pray for Elizabeth City, North Carolina. We are going through a lot right now. All right. Elizabeth City, North Carolina. We'll be praying for that. 28 weeks pregnant with my first baby and his heart stopped. How can God be real? Um, all right. Well, let's just answer that question. Person on TikTok says, how can God be real? Because I was 28 weeks pregnant, my first baby, and his heart stopped. This is a very hard question to answer because I'm going to sound uncaring. What you're saying there is, and bless your heart, I'm so sorry that you lost your baby. I don't know hardly anything harder in life than that. Of course, that's devastating. That's crushing to who you are. It's a horrible thing to have to go through, and I am so sorry for your loss. My wife died of cancer at age 30. I had a 2-year-old child and a 4-month-old child, and my wife got cancer and died. I think that's the same. In many ways, it's the same dilemma that you end up asking yourself: how could God be real if bad things happen? So how could a good and loving God allow hard things to happen? The truth is that has nothing to do with whether or not God is real or not. We know God is real if you start your belief system around the idea that God is real. He either is real or he's not. Just because bad things happen doesn't mean that he's not real. You may ask the question, then if he is real, how could he allow something like that to happen? Well, the truth is, we see in Psalm chapter 139 that it says that God numbers every person's days before even one of them comes about. And so there are some people that God gives 90 years of life to, and some people that God gives 3 months of life to, or 1 year of life to. God decides that, and he knows what's best. And I think that we think that it must be a bad thing when someone dies or a baby dies. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that child instantly goes to heaven and surpasses all the misery of the world. It's actually a blessing or a gift, but incredibly painful and hurtful to a mama, right? It's incredibly difficult and crushing to your heart. But that doesn't mean that God did a wrong thing or a bad thing. It doesn't mean that God did something bad. It means that God chose to do it the way he chose to do it, which is hard for us, but not necessarily a bad thing in his economy, right? Job asked the same question in the book of Job in the Bible. After some horrible things had happened, his children died, his crops burned, his animals are all gone. He had sores and boils all over him. And he said, God, come down here and tell me why you did what you did. And God came down and said, Job, I don't have to tell you why. I'm God. I don't have to justify my actions to you because I'm God. You're going to have to trust me that what I've done is what's best. Your brain isn't my brain, Job. You can't understand why. In fact, Proverbs 3:5 says to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. If you wait until you understand why God does things, you won't ever be able to have a relationship with God because you'll stay confused and probably angry at God. Instead, God says, you're going to have to trust me with what you can't understand. And so that's the best answer I can throw out there. That's the best answer I can throw out there for you. And I know it's not super comforting. It's crushing what you've gone through, just brutal what you've gone through. But that doesn't mean God isn't real. And moreover, doesn't mean that God doesn't love you and love that baby. And it just doesn't feel right in our humanness. If God is real, why do babies die? Yeah. Okay. If God is real, why do babies die? Again, I think that's the same answer, that I don't think those two are related. If God is real, then why do babies? I think that those two aren't related. God is either real or he's not, whether babies die or not, whether adults die or not, whether injustice happens or not. God is still real, right? Rocky, I can see you, by the way. You don't have to accept permissions. You're good. The problem is that's just a bigger pill than some people can swallow or handle. The truth is God loves that baby. I think the implication there is that God must hate babies, or God did something bad if a baby dies, right? And I think that that's the implication there, is that God must hate babies, or God did something bad if a baby dies, right? And I think that that's the implication there, is that God must hate babies, or God did something bad if a baby dies, right? we had a miscarriage. My wife and I had a miscarriage, right? And so he let that baby die. That was a real life. That was a real baby. And he let that baby die. I believe personally that God loved that baby and loves all babies, and actually blessed them by not having them live the 80 hard years here on earth and go straight to heaven, rather than having to live out a hard life here on earth. Because really, this life here on earth is inconsequential. It's little. It's nothing compared to living eternally with God, forever with God. So that soul of that little baby goes straight to heaven and spends eternity in heaven. All right. Somebody else had a question. What is the true church? There's no true church, Babylon. There are some churches that say they are the true church. I don't believe there is a true church. Jesus Christ is the true Savior. That's all we know. I don't know what you're asking about the true church. Christianity is the only way. Jesus Christ is the only way to get to heaven. And so if that's what you're asking, so be it. There's no true church. If you want to say it a different way, I'll be glad to answer your question, Babylon. Jessica says, I love that I found you 2 days in a row. Thank you for doing this in the morning. You bet, Jessica. We do it every morning at 6:30 Mountain Standard, 7:30 Central. You can also join in the Q Bible Study on Facebook. It's called the Q Bible Study page on Facebook. We do it there. That's where most people actually hang out and talk and share, kind of fellowship over there on that page. Any other questions, TikTok? Linda Murray says the fall of mankind has an impact on all of God's creation, including persons losing broken bodies. God is in holy righteous works through ramification, justified in his pain. Yes, good word. Thank you, Sarah. April's rough for me. Somebody lost a loved one on Facebook. I got you. How long has it been since you lost your wife? 24 years. 24 years ago, my first wife died. We were married 6 years, beautiful marriage, had a son. She was pregnant, went through chemo with cancer, gave birth a miracle baby, Madison, that's 23 now, 22 now. And then 4 months later, my wife passed away. I remarried about a year later. I've been married now for 23 years to my wife, Marty. And we had another son together, so that's 3, and then we adopted one from South Korea. And I've never been more joyful, peaceful, hopeful in my life. And anybody that knew me knows that I loved my first wife as much as a human can love another human. Loved. We had an amazing, perfect, incredible marriage. And then God took her home, and I released her, and I grieved and had sorrow for that, and released her and allowed her to go on to heaven. And I moved on with life. And that's what we do. We move on forward. I still miss her. I still grieve over that to some degree, but life is beautiful and wonderful for me. I don't let my past define my future. So I look forward and I move forward, and I'm blessed to be able to live life forward. What is the sign when Jesus is coming? Babylon, you're asking so many questions, and questions won't help you in terms of your faith. You've just got to trust. There's no sign. There's no individual sign, Babylon. You just got to rest in your mind and trust God. Believe that Jesus Christ died on the cross. There's only one way to heaven, Babylon. Jesus Christ said, no one comes to the Father through me. What we know to be true is that we are sinners. We have sin in us, and that sin separates us from God. That sin separates us from God because God is perfect and he can't deal with sin. And we have sin in us because of the fall of Adam and Eve. Sin has entered into the world. All humans have sin, and our sin won't let us have a relationship with God because God is perfect. So God solved that problem by sending his son to die on the cross, Jesus Christ. I'm going to send Jesus to shed his blood and die on the cross for my sins. And Jesus then will take on those sins. If I believe in Jesus for my salvation, if I believe that Jesus was the Son of God who died on the cross for my sins, if I believe that, then Jesus takes my sin, and now I'm forgiven for my sin. The blood of Christ covers me. my sins are washed away. So now I'm free to have a relationship with God and spend eternity in heaven with God because Jesus took on my sins. That is the pure and simple and really the only important thing you need to know about you and your spiritual life. All the other questions that you have, Babylon, are fine to ask, and I'll continue to try to answer those. But Jesus Christ and salvation is the only thing that's important. There is no particular sign that Jesus is coming. Revelation, he says you won't know when. There are things that will happen and have happened that was prophesied that would happen, and there's still more things that are going to happen. We don't have a particular sign. Hope that helps. That's awesome. Keep coming back every morning, same time. Yes, Electro, thanks. Other questions? You guys got to go. Okay, Linda, see ya. Are we teaching our young women in the body of Christ well enough that some of these trendy clothes they're wearing and incessant photo taking is not biblical, pure behavior? How can they stay strong and stay the course of God? Yeah, I've taught on this a number of times, Janice, and you're right. I don't think that's I don't think that it's healthy, the trends that we have going. I believe we've moved away from a lot of purity, and I hope that women will continue to work to try to be pure, be careful what they wear, and how self-indulgent men and women are, for sure. All right. Any other questions or comment? Download the app called Bible. It's brown by YouVision. It helps you study. Yep. It's great app for sure. Keep coming back. Yes, I want to say I need more. And the next day I found this channel. Jessica, that's how God works. That's just how, that doesn't surprise me. That's just how God works. And we do this every morning. So hang in there. All right. I guess I got to go to work too. So I need to get running. Any other questions or comments? Dwell is a great Bible app. Yeah, I use a Leaning Tree. I think that's really good. Also, great Bible app. Ladies, if y'all really want a beautiful Bible study every morning, do the Bible Recap by Tara somebody. The Bible Recap is a podcast. You can see it on YouTube. It's the Bible Recap by Tara somebody, and Marty listens to it every morning. It's an amazing study that you will love. It's called the Bible Recap by Tara somebody. I don't know who that is. So, all right, TikTok. Can you give me a Bible? Babylon. I'd be more than happy. Message me your address. I'll send you a Bible if that's what you want. You can use one on your phone, and it's just as easy. There's lots of Bible apps on the phone. You can use on your phone, no problem. If there's a way I can get you a Bible, I'll be more than happy, or somebody will be glad to send you a Bible. There's apps that you can get. Yep. So absolutely, we'll take care of that. All right. I guess we're done. You guys hang in there. Keep on keeping on. We'll be back for Revelation chapter 3 tomorrow. Facebook, you're awesome. We'll see you back here tomorrow.